The San Antonio Spurs are set to start what will likely be their worst season since the era of Tim Duncan, and the success of winning titles has fallen. But ultimately, there is reasons to be optimistic about the long-term future of the San Antonio Spurs team. Today, I want to talk about the San Antonio Spurs roster, what I expect from this group for the upcoming season, but also who I expect to be their bright spots for this season and moving forward. If you do go on to enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the San Antonio Spurs. As mentioned, the San Antonio Spurs are entering a very transitional year. LaMarcus Aldridge, of course, have left the team last year via him joining the Brooklyn Nets. DeMar Derozan has now left the team via free agency, joining the Chicago Bulls. Mills has also left the team, which I didn't think I would see the day that would happen. And then Rudy Gay has also left, heading to Utah. So realistically, this team is extremely young, extremely inexperienced, and ultimately a team that is going to have some players step up, improve, and really have a lot more minutes to prove themselves for this upcoming season. So ultimately, there is going to be a playmaking void, there is going to be a scoring void, because they lost Patty Mills, DeMar Derozan, and Rudy Gay, and they lost the playmaking of Patty Mills and DeMar Derozan. So there's a lot of roles that are going to have to be filled here at forward, at guard. There's a lot of roles that have to be replaced. Now, ultimately, Thaddeus Young is on the team, Al-Farouq Aminu is on the team, and Doug McDermott was signed. So they did replace, from a numbers standpoint, some of the players that they lost. They also drafted Joshua Primo. So they haven't necessarily lost any numbers at their guard or forward positions. But some of the players they added are either extremely young and are going to need time to develop, like Joshua Primo, or young veterans that are not long-term pieces of this team, such as Thaddeus Young and Al-Farouq Aminu, and will not be starters on this team. Doug McDermott will potentially start, but he is the only new addition that is likely to start. And small forward is the position most devoid of depth on this team, especially young depth. You could argue, of course, the center position, but they have Jakob Poeltl. There isn't anyone else as a vet that you would put ahead of him. But as far as vets that can potentially start on this team, the small forward spot is the only spot that's a little bit devoid of young talent on this Spurs team, where a veteran is also present, and so that is why Doug McDermott has been brought in. But ultimately, when you're looking at the San Antonio Spurs team, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Lonnie Walker Jr., or fourth, and Keldon Johnson are the young pieces that you should be looking at for this team to improve immediately. Devin Vassell is also a part of that future, who was only drafted last year, and Joshua Primo is also a part of that future, who was just drafted in the 2021 NBA draft. But ultimately, those are the 4 and then 6 pieces that are going to be the future of the San Antonio Spurs, either on this roster or as trade value down the road. DeJounte Murray, of course, was probably the second best player on this team last year, alongside DeMar Derozan. He was their lead guard, their point guard. He continues to be extremely good defensively and has all NBA defense potential. But he looked more comfortable on the offensive end last year. He looked more assertive on the offensive end. I think this mid-range game and his pull-up ability was a lot more promising. He looked much more comfortable with that role. His efficiency can still be looked to improve, no doubt. The biggest thing for him is more improvement as a three-point shooter. He took more threes last year, but he was nowhere near as efficient. And so I like his ability to attack the rim, especially with his length and size at the point guard spot. And I like his ability to play make for others. I think he's a very underrated playmaker, and that will show even more with DeMar DeRozan's playmaking gone off of this team this year, and him having to do more of that for this team. And I think he's developed his mid-range game a lot, but he will look to continue to improve his three-point shooting with this team. Derek White is a much better three-point shooter, and his three-point shooting and his defense will be a very important part of this team moving forward. I don't think he has a ton of upside beyond what we have seen from him personally. He is only 4 years into his NBA career, but he is 27. I don't see him being much more than a very good 3-and-D guy, but ultimately that remains to be seen in a bigger role. Keldon Johnson will be the other starter for this group that has a lot of upside. He was just a member of this Olympics team last year, and I think has a lot of upside as well on both ends of the court. Doug McDermott will give them some good scoring. Jakob Poeltl will give them some good defense and rebounding, as well as one of the very underrated centers in the league as well. Not an amazing starting center, but also just underrated because he's in San Antonio. And someone that I think will have a very important role and good role in this team for the Spurs this upcoming season is Lonnie Walker. He has a ton of explosion, a ton of athleticism, a ton to like about his game. He just needs to put the pieces together, become a bit of a better shooter, be a bit more efficient, but ultimately he has all of the tools to be a very fun, very exciting two-guard for this team off of the bench. They also have Bryn Forbes, who can come in and give them some shooting off of the bench. They still have Trey Jones as well, who can give them some backup point guard minutes. Well, Joshua Primo will get some minutes in there. Devin Vassell will get a lot of the forward minutes off of the bench, as he can be a very good three-point shooter for this team right now and moving forward. And ultimately, those are the key pieces for this group long term. I don't expect the Spurs team to be great this year. I think they'll be better than a lot of people expect, because as much as they are young, they do have a lot of experience and maturity on this team between DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Keldon Johnson, Jakob Poeltl, Doug McDermott, Thaddeus Young, Alfred Caminu. They have a lot of NBA experience on this team, even amongst some of their core guys. So I don't think they're going to be as much of a team that looks young and looks like they're making rookie mistakes comparatively to some of the younger teams in the Western Conference like OKC and Houston. But ultimately, they are still going to be young. They are still one of the weaker teams in the Western Conference. I expect them to fall somewhere between those bottom three seeds, but don't expect them to just get rolled over every night. I would still expect them, especially with Pop as the coach, to be a competitive team moving forward. This is not a team I expect to be anything brilliant this upcoming season, but long term, don't be surprised if this is a team that has some upside, and don't expect them to just fall over and get beaten easily for the upcoming season. That being said, that is my thoughts on the San Antonio Spurs heading into the 2021-22 NBA season. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below about this group moving forward. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And if you want to hear my other season previews as we approach the NBA season that is now only a week away as of me recording this, then be sure to click the box on the right-hand side of the screen. That being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.